YouTube's how long this takes to upload. Hopefully it won't take too long. There's RS5. Have a look. There it is there. Took me a while to find you. Right, so the chat's up, the stream's up, we're all good to go. Hello and welcome, ladies. For tonight's race is Albert Park, the home of the Australian Grand Prix. This 5.3 kilometre, 16-turn racetrack was first opened in 1996, replacing Adelaide as the home of the Australian Grand Prix. And since then, it has become the tradition season opener in modern Formula One. Outside of that, though, pretty unnoteworthy racetrack. Yoka racetrack representing us in the world of Formula One, but hey-ho, it's what we got. The most technically demanding part of the racetrack is unarguably turns 11 and 12. Quite easy to catch yourself out in that flat-out left-right section in the third sector. So edge of your seat ride through there, and incredibly easy to make mistakes through there. Particularly in qualifying, when you see drivers really push the limits of the racetrack. Outside of that, though, you've got turn 5, the right-hander in the first sector. We'll go on board briefly with Isaac Kush. He's coming through turn 4 now. The right-hander turn 5 here, I've seen it catch out of. Don't do anything silly. You do have a bit brutal track limits here at turn 14. And you might have to be careful of turn 4. The curve on the outside is a bit dangerous at times. You can see I'm really scraping at the bottom of the barrel here for any sort of noteworthiness for this racetrack. It's just kind of, hello, I'm here sort of thing. But in a bit of an enthusiastic sort of note, I have seen some pretty decent races around here. So it's not impossible to see a spectacular race around this racetrack. It's just, for the most part, it tends to be pretty boring, but we can get the good one every now and then. I believe Alex Parto will be the first driver to try and set a flying lap, though a bit jumpy for me. We'll go back to, I believe it's the Dutch driver, HMW Schender. Not sure if he's just a part-time driver or a new full-time driver for McLaren. Regardless, he's on a flying lap, being overtaking there his teammate, Truck Formula. Yeah, this is going to be an issue all night, I reckon. You see, I live in New South Wales in Australia. Recently, we've been having floods, and as a result, there is plenty of cloud cover, so internet connection has sort of taken a dive, unfortunately. But we'll press on and see how we do. As Parto jumps to the top of the table with a 1 minute 20.2, fairly respectable lap time. We'll see what Schender can do, as Leo does a 19.3, fairly nice response there from the Haas driver. Schender does a 19.3 as well, only 0.07 of a second separating the top two. Contrast on an abandoned flying lap. Rhythms coming off a spectacular victory at Monza. He'll be looking to continue his form here in Melbourne. Crossing the line, does a 20 flat. About 0.7 off the top dogs, but we still have a lot of time left in the session as ACW jumps to the top of the table now with a 19 flat. Actually 2.5 tenths clear of Leo in second. Feel fairly well spread out. I'm a bit surprised by that. Sometimes it can be quite competitive around here in qualifying. The gaps aren't incredibly large. particularly when you've got a high caliber of driver like this field. Track Formula on a set of mediums. Probably just trying to get his eye in. Assess the conditions, assess his car setup, just try and get a feel for the place. He's going to round the final corner sideways, and he catches it. Rather a flashy way to end the lap, though I'm pretty sure it's not the quickest way. He's 8th fastest with a 21.2. Now, considering that mistake that he made, that would have cost him plenty of time as Plebs invalidates. So it's not a bad time considering he basically butchered the final corner. Nicolizzi's going to cross the line, set a 19.751. Just in behind his Finnish compatriot Prime in P4. Plebs on the in-lap. BP in the Renault. Heading towards turn 13. Hard on the brakes, 4th gear. Negotiates that quite well. Around turn 14. Have to be careful on the track limits there on the outside. Turn 15. Then turn 16, the final corner. 4th gear, 5th gear, 6th gear. Quite a nice run at the exit of the final corner. Crosses the line, sets a 20.2. Goes 9th fastest. Plebs right on board with the Mr. Race Spec. See how he operates around Albert Park. Just leaving turns 1 and 2, heading into the heavy braking zone of turn 3. This is the only realistic part of the racetrack where you can overtake. Into turn 4, 4th gear, sideways, very sideways there. Now through turn 5, be careful of the curb on the inside there. 10 time settle the car. Into turn 6 and immediately into 7. He missed, well, he didn't miss the apex. I feel like actually he just overshot the corner a little bit. Had to slow down. Compromised his run through 7. Round turns 9 and 10, which won't exist when the Australian Grand Prix comes around in November. We'll basically be skipping that part of the racetrack. Round turns 11 and 12. Car, you could see there, looked a bit unsettled, but Plebs keeps it under control. Round 13, using all of the curb. Then through 14, again using all the curb on the outside, and there's a car in front, Nicolizzi. He gets out of the way, and Plebs will round the final corner. 5th gear, 6th gear, 7th. Climb into top gear, crosses the line, sets a 119.749, goes 5th fastest. Splitting the two Finns now in P4 and P6. So yes, a fairly straightforward. You could potentially lose the car and retire from the session. This is one of those areas, and he cut way too much there at turn 12. Arcs too much of the car there. Invalidates. Looks like he's going to continue on with the lap. Rounds turn 14, heading